So welcome to the Milton line and the run through to Stratford. So we've been waiting here a few minutes. Now we're in basically about the same place, but the signal placement a little bit different than on the West Coast Main Line South, but it's about as close as I can get it. I've got a suspicion that 710 Aventra is going to cause us some problems, because the one thing I can guarantee you is we are not going to get a clear run, because this is an incredibly busy section of railway. It's not just connecting the West Coast Main Line with the East Coast Main Line, but you've got the services from Richmond to Stratford, but you've also got the Clapham Junction to Stratford services as well. A plethora of freight. That signal we just passed there, I recorded a video last summer, walked down those steps along that path towards Willesden Junction station, and was waiting for quite a while, Class 66, to get clearance onto the North London line. Quite a nice little video actually. I think it's on the channel on one of the videos. Well, we're not quite going to be doing 10 mile an hour the whole way through to Stratford, but you can imagine in real life it would be quite difficult threading in a rail tour along here, and I'm sure there are rail tours that come along this section. Because the one thing about rail tour services is that the normal timetable trains take priority, and generally the pathing is quite generous for rail tours, so very often you'll get long waits at stations. Good example of a repeater there, because as you can see we didn't get view of the main signal until, well, you can see beyond the bridge. Not 100% convinced though that the repeaters are always work perfectly in TrainSim World 5. I think we have had examples where you kind of got the impression you've got clearance from the repeater only to find a adverse signal coming up. Of course it should be horizontal, like no entry effectively, if it's a adverse signal coming up. Right, we've got 45 now, so we'll get a bit of speed up. Still absolutely love this route though. I think Johannes has done an absolutely brilliant job. Really does feel like a busy old London route, and there's just such a great variety in terms of the scenery as well, and I'm sure there's some generic buildings been put in, but he's used what he has available to him. There's plenty of custom buildings in as well. Stations look fantastic. Of course, the best news of all is that we will have the 6 mile extension to Richmond at some point this year, hopefully. I think the idea is they're going to try and iron out the bugs first, and one of the main ones being that the passengers, other than at Stratford, don't actually get on and off the North London Line trains. Of course, there's also that blurring problem as well for console users, which is a more significant issue, really. I don't think they've completely solved that either yet. But greatly looking forward to that 6-mile section. I mean, we're going to have the power changeover as well at Acton Central between DC and AC. Well, that's beginning towards Stratford, but it's an interesting route. I'd love to know how much progress he's made, whether he's actually laid the track and, you know, it's sort of the scenery, or, you know, some of it might be done already. All speculation, obviously. Right, we've got a yellow here. Work out which line that was over above us there. And again, there's no point in getting the speed up too fast, and massive powers of concentration needed by drivers, because you've constantly, when you get in a barrage of adverse signals, you've got to remember what your last signal was. Yeah, we're all right. We're on yellow for the moment. I mean, you've got the sunflower thing at the bottom right of the picture there, which kind of tells us that we should be getting an adverse signal coming up, but you just don't know what colour. Try and cozy up towards this red signal. That's the Midland main line, incidentally. Okay, I know it changed to green there, but yeah, just a quick look at the Midland main line. You've got West Hampstead Thames Link. When I say green, I meant yellow, obviously. But what I'm also fascinated to think about as well with the extension to Richmond is what they're going to put in terms of the substitution for the district line services between Richmond and Gunnersbury. Now, I'd be quite happy if it's the 484 off the Island line stop from the Isle of Wight, because the D-stock was actually used on the district line only a few years back. I mean, it'd be great if he's actually done another model of, say, the S7s. There's a Boris bus going over us. Love all the traffic that we get with stuff like that. We're getting the Boris bus, we're getting single decker buses, we've got the black cabs as well. Just a feeling of life. I mean, I remember the Northern Transpennine route coming out, and whilst it was, you know, reasonably good, enjoyed it, there was that feeling constantly that it was as like a ghost town. Don't think we even got any traffic on that originally. I mean, we've only got less than 8 miles to go to Stratford, but it's going to be a slightly tortuous journey, I suspect. The thing about this, I mean, the signals are often quite bunched up together, so you kind of get a bit carried away, thinking you've got a double yellow, you're okay, then suddenly you get the single yellow and the red's not too far away, so you just have to be constantly aware. I do love the prospect, or the idea that we can have these joined up runs as well, and I mean, it'd be a nice little run to do from Milton Keynes through to Stratford, and probably mentioned it earlier on the West Coast Main Line section, but to Ripple Lane as well. No, I can see yellow, we're okay. But again, the skill of these drivers, they would know precisely where the next signal is going to be. We've got a guide with the monitor in the top right hand corner. Now, for the first time ever, there's a possibility I might actually go through Gospel Oak and be down to the 20 mile an hour before we get there. First time I think I've ever managed that. I always forget this speed reduction. Kind of creeps on you unawares. Even then I'm speeding a bit, because we are going downhill, so you have to be wary of that. do have a Barking Riverside service in the Bay platform, and again it's just a nice feeling that that section of the line's in the game as well. I just always want to feel as though there are joined up sections. I find it a bit frustrating when you get DLC released and they're kind of unconnected parts. I mean, that's again good with the Just Trains point of view. You know, you've got Preston, Blackpool, and then they followed up that with Preston to Carlisle. I'd love to show you the line where that train was going under, but far too worried about the issue of missing that red signal. Got it yellow already, but there we go. That's the I think that's the East Coast main line, isn't it? I think it gives us a slightly better perspective of the London skyline than you get with the 378. A couple of Boris buses down there. It's that old joke, isn't it, about you wait ages for one bus up to come along and then two come along together. We've got another 20 coming up now. And that's because at Camden Road we've got another busy intersection with a connection to the West Coast main line at Primrose Hill. That's something I've been meaning to try out and see. Quite a bit of the track seems to be represented, but just to see how much scenery there has been done, because there is a nice scenario on the 2019 timetable. Railtour run. Look at that though. I mean, that's just that's great. I love that. Again, just plenty of life. Look at all those, that real combination of so many different buildings, modern and the very old. But yeah, this is the connection to the West Coast main line. So a lot of the freights will go to Stratford and then they'll go down there, go down to Primrose Hill, connect up with the West Coast main line. But that Class 87 scenario for the Railtour, in theory, we could probably do some of this on it as well. keep things at 20 as well. And you got a little section here where clearly there was a couple of other tracks in place as well at one time. Almost smell the diesel. I think that junction we just passed there connects us into St Pancras. Done that with the HST on the stream a few weeks back. We had a few track workers there, obviously keeping an eye on Dovetail Games' dodgy signalling. All a lie, of course, they work perfectly all of the time. You can see the very right hand part of the screen as well. You can see the distant London skyline. I think you can see a few things over there. Now we better not get too carried away. Yeah, that's definitely the East Coast main line there, I think. Really, I think the idea is you're trying to anticipate all the time, because you're certainly not going to go full pelt because you know that you're going to get held up. But the idea is you're trying to follow and keep track and operate at roughly the same speed as the service in front. And of course we are hampered by the fact that you've got a stopping train in front of you. I love how enclosed this section is. I know I'm quite a way off the signal, but it's better to be far off than going past it. And you can see the train ahead of us just departed the station. So we're still less than 5 miles to go, but it's quite slow going. Then we've got Highbury and Islington coming up, so we've got the connection with the Windrush line, the East London line, And you kind of wonder whether there is plans to actually put that in the game at some point, because we know that Dalston Junction is in the game. They didn't need to definitely put the station in for that. I mean, I suppose it might just be the fact that they maybe Johannes perhaps planned originally to be able to run the East London line services and do sort of Highbury and Islington through to well, I think that's what what is known as the business as squeaky bum time. But we didn't overshoot the signal. Just. Now we have got a yellow. Yeah, this is Canterbury, and then we've got Dalston Kingsland, and you'll see the tunnels branching away to our right for the East London line. I think it's so easy to become a bit blasé with all these signals, that's the problem. Love all the graffiti as well. The signal's just beyond the station, so that gives us a little bit of a clue. And here is the East London line, so DC mode of course, branching away to our right. You can just about in free run mode get a train into the platforms at Willesden Junction. Because many years ago there used to be the station at Broad Street as well. Long since gone. Right, I definitely see yellow, but then the signal behind it's pretty close, so we've got a bit of freight as well. How exciting. Thought it might be empty stock for a minute, but it's got it's an empties one, isn't it? That's nice to see. I mean, even when we get to Stratford, there's no guarantee how long it'll take to gain access to the main line, because again the services coming through with the Greater Anglia trains, with the Elizabeth line trains, is extremely busy as well. Single yellow, and then danger lurks beyond that. There you go, even got a couple of workmen sitting down on the bench down there. Kind of semi-confident that this red might clear before we get to it, but we'd better not make too many assumptions. Yeah, it has. But such a contrast really between the run down the West Coast main line, which was more or less trouble-free, and suddenly we faced adverse signals nearly the whole way. you know, even tips down there, skips rather, with you know, with rubbish in, and just such a busy scene going on constantly. And you know, apologies for harping on about it, but I just find it fascinating and exciting. And as I've probably said quite a few times, but you know, I go back to Microsoft Train Simulator, where the detail obviously wasn't as good as this. It was still pretty good for its time. And even before that, playing text-based games where you had to just imagine the whole thing, no sound of train, just a few images telling you where you were, no graphics whatsoever. And then there was a chap called Ashley Greener who did something called Cab View videos, and they were basically just cab rides, and you kind of slowed and speeded up the video to a certain extent, but it was all very stuttery and not the best. Now, dare we hope that we might even make it into Stratford now. Maybe not just yet. It's been quite an arduous run. I mean, from a driving point of view. Hope you've enjoyed it though. And I've always tried to do these joined up runs where possible. We've done it with Train Sim Classic on a few occasions, so it's nice to be able to do it on Train Sim World 5 now. There you go, you see that 66 being held by the 378, but he's got the clearance now. See those Union Jacks, access to the Olympic Park, of course now West Ham's football ground. Over the canal, I think. Massively different location, even as recently as the 80s and the 90s, you know, with all the Olympic stuff being built. Again, I was just thinking, what was that signal behind us? Well, the good news is that's the last signal before the platforms at Stratford, so provided we don't mess it up completely into the station, then we're all right. Got an Elizabeth line train leaving Stratford station. Maybe one day in the future we'll be able to carry on the journey north. At least you can do in Train Sim Classic, but not yet on Train Sim World 5. Who knows what lies ahead with Train Sim World 6. So we're kind of assuming this service is going to go on to either Ipswich or Norwich or perhaps one of the Norfolk branches, but it's going to be done by another driver. And I must admit, I'm quite relieved to get to the end of the run because I've enjoyed it, but it's also been pretty tiring as well with all those adverse signals, I won't lie. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. This has been an Easter Class 37 fictional run really, but Railtour run from Milton Keynes Central through to Stratford using the West Coast Main Line South routes and the Mildmay line as well. Just constantly on the lookout for what's going on in and around Stratford as well. There's a Greater Anglia service as well. But we could stop watching Stratford all day because there's something coming in and out every few seconds. So thank you very much for watching. For Powerflower Trains and Planes, just quickly, time to say, if you've enjoyed the video, you've not done it before, then please like and subscribe. I'd be tremendously grateful if you could. And enjoying the support. But until next time, live stream should be Sunday this week as I'm recording this at 5 o'clock. That'll be Easter Sunday. So until then, hope you can join me for that. But until then, from me, it's goodbye.